The Holy Gospel according to Matthew, the first chapter. An account of the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, and Judah the father of Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez the father of Hezron, and Hezron the father of Aram, and Aram the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon the father of Salmon, and Salmon the father of Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz the father of Obed by Ruth, and Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of King David. And David was the father of Solomon by the wife of Uriah, and Solomon the father of Rehoboam, and Rehoboam the father of Abijah, and Abijah the father of Asaph, and Asaph the father of Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, and Joram the father of Uzziah, and Uzziah the father of Jotham, and Jotham the father of Ahaz, and Ahaz the father of Hezekiah, and Hezekiah the father of Manasseh, and Manasseh the father of Amos, and Amos the father of Josiah, and Josiah the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the deportation to Babylon. And after the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Salathiel, and Salathiel was the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Eliakim, and Eliakim the father of Azor, and Azor the father of Zadok, and Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, and Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, who bore Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So all the generations for Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David to the deportation to Babylon, 14 generations. And from the deportation to Babylon to the Messiah, 14 generations. This is the gospel of the Lord. You may be seated. I will guarantee you will probably never again have that as the gospel reading in church. I did not do it to impress you with, how I can read Hebrew names, because I may have gotten some of them wrong. And on Thursday night, we were having dinner at our house, and my friend Liz and her son Ethan came. And Liz and I met while she was a student at the seminary, and I was working there. And then later we worked together, and now I'm here, and she works for Villanova, helping students with their finances. And we talk about Jesus when we get together. It just kind of happens. Somehow it happened on Thursday night, and we were talking about Advent, and we got, I don't know how, onto the fact that I had changed the first lesson and I was going to read the genealogy of Jesus from Matthew. And Liz turned to me and said, "Why are you preaching on that? What made you do that?" And my answer was and is simply the women. There are 5 names that stand out from this list that are women's names. And I got to tell you, if a woman is named in a list of men, you better figure out why, who she is. What is the story? Over the course of 42 generations of significant biblical history, only 5 women are mentioned. And I think that they have something to teach us. So we're going to look at them a little bit. The first one, you may not have read her story before. It's Tamar. And we are told she gave birth to Perez by Judah. Okay? So her story is very curious. We don't hear it very often. She was originally the wife of Judah's number 2 son, okay? But when he died, leaving her without children and any kind of sustenance, it was then decided by Judah that his eldest son should then marry Tamar. This is called levirate marriage. It happens in various times in the Bible where you have 2 brothers, one dies leaving no kids to take care of the widow, and so the other brother is required to marry her, but the children that are born are considered the children of his dead brother, okay? And this all messes up inheritance for people who are like, "Oh, cool, I'm going to get all the money." Suddenly they're having to divide it up. And that older brother said, "Not on a chance. I'm not marrying her." And that left her with few options. Judah, her father-in-law, could also participate in levirate marriage, but instead he made her a bunch of promises that didn't pan out, and there she was for years, all on her own. But she was smart. She was clever. And of all the things to do, she goes to the crossroads where the travelers go by, somewhere out of town, dresses herself up as a prostitute, and manages to seduce her father-in-law, who is coming through on a business trip. This may sound odd to us, but in doing what she did, Tamar asserted her rights, and she forced Judah to act with justice, because when she then shows up pregnant and everybody's like, she's not married, she shouldn't do that, Judah had left some of his personal property with her to take care of, as kind of like, I'll come back and pay you later. And so when she pulls his stuff out of her bag, then, the jig is up. They get married. He is the father of Perez. Decades later, Tamar was remembered at the wedding of Ruth and Boaz, as they are blessed with these words, "Through the children that the Lord will give you, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah." Tamar's traits of assertiveness in action, her willingness to be rather unconventional, and her deep loyalty to Judah's family are the very qualities that later on distinguish the one to come after, and that would be King David, her descendant. The second woman who is included in the litany of names is Rahab, who was not an Israelite. She instead was a Canaanite woman living in Jericho when Joshua and the army showed up to conquer Canaan. When the generals sent out a couple of advance men to spy on the city of Jericho, the two men end up at Rahab's house. They're there for lodging and information and maybe sex. There are a lot of sex in these stories. So if you don't know that the Bible has a lot of stories with sex in it, surprise, it does. So she actually was a prostitute. Her name shows up 5 times in the Bible, and I think there's only one where they don't refer to her as Rahab the prostitute, and that's in this reading. I can't imagine that those spies went to that house and didn't have sex. But in any case, they're hiding out on Rahab the prostitute's roof, and she's put them under some stuff so they won't be found. And when the king of Jericho heard about the 2 spies, he demanded that Rahab give them up, which of course left her in a difficult spot. But she defied the king, and she rescued the Israelites. And she told the king's men that the 2 spies had left and that the king's men should go chase them. It's a little story, I suppose. But it is a story worth knowing, because in the face of absolute danger, Rahab had hope. Her house was built into the wall of the city. This meant there was a door on the outside and a door on the inside, and those who came could leave by the other door. Important to be in the wall of the city. On the inside of that house, though, was everybody she ever cared about. And outside of the wall was this army waiting to capture her homeland. And so which way should she turn? Should she protect her family? Where did her future lie? Jewish scholar Tikva Frymer-Kensky wrote, Rahab has a special function in the biblical narratives of Israel's existence in the land. When uncovering the men, that is the spies, she explains that she knows that God will give Israel the land. She had heard about the escape from Egypt. She knew about God's amazing work at the Red Sea and the defeat of the Amorite kings, and so she let the Israelite spies know that dread had fallen on the people of Jericho. This is the message that the men bring back to Joshua. Rahab is thus the oracle or prophet of Israel's occupation of the land. She, the one who begins as triply marginalized. She's a Canaanite, a woman, and a prostitute. She moves to the center of the story as a bearer of a divine message and a herald of Israel in its new land. She has the good news. And so even though later generations of readers have been squeamish about her occupation, they want to sort of, Rahab, we don't know what she did for a living. Yeah, She was an innkeeper. She wasn't an innkeeper. But she is remembered in Jewish history and in their tradition as the great proselyte, as an ancestor of kings and prophets. And in the New Testament, she is remembered for being an ancestor of Jesus. Rahab, the prostitute. Despite the fact that she was facing incredible danger for aiding and abetting the Israelites, she believed. She had hope. Even though her own king had challenged her for speaking the truth, she persists in her judgment that the two men hiding on her roof aren't just there for a good time. They are there as agents of God. And so she had faith and hope enough to say, "The Lord your God is indeed God in heaven above and on earth below." She confesses her faith, and it's active. It is not indifferent. It moves. Third on the list is Ruth. Now, you probably have heard about Ruth. She has a whole book written about her with her own name on the front, but really it starts out talking about Naomi, her mother-in-law. And when Naomi's husband and her sons die, she's in trouble. She's an immigrant with no money and no man to take care of her. There is no levirate marriage in her future because she's not going to have any more children. So she's certain she has nothing to offer her daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, and her nearest relative is far away in another country in Israel. And as she considers her future, all Naomi could envision was a life of poverty and a solitary death, which was a reasonable expectation. But she hadn't counted on Ruth. She didn't understand the depth of Ruth's love for her, a love that didn't dare claim, but which was graciously offered. And Ruth says, "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people shall be my people, and your God will be my God. And where you die, I will die. And that's where I will be buried. Not even death will separate me from you." And that, my friends, is what grace looks like. That's what it is to love someone else the way you would be loved. And so if you can't imagine the incredibly infinite and deep and wide love of God for you, God's grace, surely we can imagine Ruth's love for Naomi. And it gives us an inkling of what God is like and what God has in store for us. The fourth woman on the list is stated to be the wife of Uriah, who was the mother of Solomon. Now, if you've read the book, you know that this is Bathsheba, and why they didn't just say Bathsheba is beyond me, because she had a name and everything. And her story, quite frankly, is one that makes me cringe. I don't like this story at all. For too long, Bathsheba has been portrayed as a seductress. If you go back and watch like 1950s Bible movies, she is just all over the place. There is nothing in the story that would suggest that she did anything to attract King David's attention. If you want me to explain that later, I will. But trust me, she did nothing. And so while her husband is off to war, David uses his power and his authority and, quite frankly, his soldiers to intimidate Bathsheba into sleeping with him. Today, we would easily argue that David did not have her consent. Curiously, very little is said about Bathsheba's character, her feelings, or her nature. When she gets pregnant, David arranges for her husband to be killed in order to cover up his adultery. And when Uriah dies, they get married. It says Bathsheba mourns. Their first baby becomes gravely ill, and David is overwhelmed with grief, and there's all kinds of time where he's lamenting and he's praying and he's promising God things, and he is so miserable about this child, and the baby dies. Nothing is said of Bathsheba except that David consoled her. So why is this woman who says little and is treated like a pawn rather than a partner included in the genealogy of Jesus? Basically, her role is minimized so that the focus of the story is on David, because he's the one who's made a mess of things. He's the one who is going to have to answer to God for the sinful things that have happened in his household. Bathsheba's role is minimized, so she just almost doesn't even exist. But in her later life, she does not hold back. She plots, she schemes, and she pesters David while he's on his deathbed to make sure that her son becomes the next king, just as David had promised. Tamar and Rahab, Ruth and Bathsheba all have interesting stories. But why them? The early Christian writers, known traditionally as the church fathers, that should tell you something. The church fathers, there were no church mothers, just the church fathers argued that these 4 women were included because they represent sinfulness and that Jesus was going to come and redeem the sinners, and so that's why they needed to be in the list. As if 42 generations of men had never done anything wrong. I'm sorry, all of my feminist leanings are coming out today. It's nonsense. Although they don't have a direct contact from heaven, God doesn't come and speak directly to Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, or Bathsheba. And according to Matthew, Gabriel doesn't talk to Mary either. They aren't particularly sinful women, but because their stories each contain unexpected sexual activities, and none of them seem to have been married to the father of their first baby, their names have often been sullied and their stories have been misrepresented. So by recollecting each of them, Matthew is preparing us for the kind of Messiah that is to be born. Who will Jesus be? Look at his history. He will care about women. They have a role to play in his kingdom. Little girls, mothers, grandmothers, widows, women who never got married, all of them will have a place at his table. He will have compassion for people in difficult circumstances. And he won't judge people by what's on the surface. Instead, he'll have supper with prostitutes and adulterers and tax collectors and any number of people that we go, well, I don't know about him. He will include the whole world in his saving work, not just the Jews, but the Canaanites like Rahab, and the Moabites like Ruth, and the Hittites like Bathsheba's first husband Uriah. Jesus' genealogy includes Gentiles, and that was an important thing for Matthew's first church, for his community, because there were many of them who came to the Christian faith not as Jews, but from some other background. Jesus will come to help connect people with each other, to connect and create new families and new communities within the church. And he will encourage people to act and to move, to stand up for what is important, to act righteously in the face of injustice, inertia, infidelity, and immorality. So maybe this was a strange way to start Advent, maybe not. But I have come to love these 4 women deeply for their strength and their faithfulness. And I love that their stories are so very human, and that although they have to deal with some horrendous circumstances, they persevere. They are faithful to God. They are faithful to those that they love, and their stories are a part of our story. So I want to share with you a lovely song called Rahab's Lullaby.
I will tell it like it is. I was hanging by a thread, pushed out to the furthest edge, and I wasn't proud of it. From my house within the wall, always face to face with dark. Oh, I wondered if I knew the light at all. I was sure my heart would melt with fear, but there was one who held me even there. He is God above, He is God below, He is God of everything between. There's no place you'll be where He cannot go. Look at my face, these eyes have seen. I know the Lord. So tell me what it is. Are you hanging by a thread? Are you pushed down on the edge? Are you ashamed of it? Tell me where you are? Are you face to face with the dark? Do you wonder if the light will ever shine again? Oh my son, your heart may melt with fear, but I know one who holds you even here. He is God above, He is God below, He is God of everything between. There's no place you'll be where He cannot go. Look at my face, these eyes have seen. I know the Lord. You belong to me, and I belong to Him. Hold this scarlet cord and breathe. Hope is on the other end. He is God above, He is God below, He is God of everything between. There's no place you'll be where He cannot go. Look in my face, these eyes have seen. I know. Look in my face, these eyes have seen. Look in my face, these eyes have seen.